Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Robbie Basel Show. You know who I am. I'm Robbie Basel. Hope your Friday is going well. Just to open today's show with an announcement. Today I got word that I'm announcing another game for ESPN tomorrow on Saturday the 14th as I own a play St. Peter's on ESPN Plus. Would recommend checking that out. That's the only announcement I have. Into the Stands came back this week. Had an interesting episode yesterday. I would recommend checking that out. That video will be in the description down below. So, originally for this video, I had planned the NHL season prediction preview. Unfortunately, that video is going to be a bit delayed. I'm trying to possibly get a guest for it, and I just wasn't fully prepared for the video. So, for a video like a season prediction like that, or season preview, I feel like it's only right for me to be fully prepared, know all my stuff, and just with the situation, how much work I've had with school and ESPN, couple other things, I don't think it would have been a very good video. And I don't think it would have been the best quality and the best knowledge that I could bring to you guys. And I just feel like you don't need to see me try to know some things that I'm just not 100% aware of, not 100% confident in. And I just feel like that'd be bad content and would make myself look bad. And if people tried to say some of the knowledge I gave you is not fully accurate, I just feel like that'd be a bad look for all involved. So that video hopefully will be Monday. Just not 100% sure on it. Another news, Into the Stands is going to do the NBA prediction. As of right now, Into the Stands will preview the NBA and not here. So if you want to watch the NBA season preview from Into the Stands, I'll give you more updates once we get closer to that filming date. So today's video, much different than we were originally planning on. I'm going to give my thoughts on what's going on in the NFL, MLB playoffs, as well as some updates because we are in the international window. And I previewed this back in episode number 33, so make sure to check out my full predictions from episode 33 on what's going on during the international break. So I have a little bit of international ball to talk about because there was a draw for a tournament I am going to break down in a cup, I think in 2 months. I think is when that video is going to be, which is AFCON. And I know we're starting with this because I am just still stunned by the whole what the hell happened yesterday. So yesterday, we had the draw for AFCON. And for those who don't know what AFCON is, one, I talked about it in almost every international break video. We talking about like 2 or 3, but I think I have talked about it in each one. So it's basically the African Championships of Soccer. So it's 24 teams. I'm going to do a full breakdown, like the teams and all this other stuff, but I just want to give out my initial reaction to the draw. Group A, we have Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea, and Guinea-Bissau. I feel very bad for Guinea-Bissau because if they were in some of the other groups, they could have made a run for third. But like the previous AFCON, Equatorial Guinea is going to be in a top-heavy group with a lot of talent. They have Nigeria. They have a little bit of a fading Ivory Coast team. So, listen, Equatorial Guinea, every time they've qualified, have never been eliminated in the group stage. That will be a talking point when I do the AFCON video. So, Equatorial Guinea, in a rough spot again. But don't be surprised if Ivory Coast, I think, could finish in third, even though their home field advantage. And in Africa, home field advantage is very impactful. So I'm interested to see how a team like a Nigeria would play Ivory Coast, Equatorial Guinea play Ivory Coast, and Equatorial Nigeria. That whole group is going to be so much fun to watch. And Guinea-Bissau is going to look like a pushover, but they're actually pretty talented. Group B, Egypt, Ghana, Cape Verde, and Mozambique. I have no idea how Egypt and Ghana drew each other. Kind of like how Ivory Coast and Nigeria. How the heck is Nigeria and Equatorial Guinea in lower pots than they should be? Like, Ghana, I think, is a pot 1 team. You could argue for it. You can argue that Nigeria could be a pot 1 team. You can make a ton of arguments for it. But listen, Egypt and Ghana, Cape Verde is not going to mess around either. This is going to be another group early prediction that's going to have 3 teams come out of it. Mozambique, they're not very good. I mean, they barely squeaked through Benin. I think Benin is better than Mozambique. But Cape Verde, I mean, I believe they almost eliminated Nigeria in the previous World Cup qualification group stages. So, in the Africa qualifying for the World Cup. So, listen, Cape Verde's not going to be a pushover. Similar to Group A, they have that one team that's a pot 3 team that's not going to mess around, and that team is Cape Verde. Group C, the greatest group I've ever seen. Senegal, Cameroon, Guinea, and Gambia. Listen, the Gambia are very up and coming. It's disrespectful that they're a pot 4 team. I will tell you right now, I have no idea how Mauritania is a pot 3 team and Gambia isn't. Because if you flip the Gambia and Mauritania, the Gambia is automatically going through to the next round. The Gambia did it in the previous AFCON. They went toe-to-toe with some solid teams. So the Gambia is not going to be a pushover. You have Cameroon, who hosted the previous AFCON, Senegal, who won the previous AFCON, and Guinea, who could honestly back themselves to win this whole thing. So, man, it's a tough group. Listen, I'm not really... I mean, Senegal is good. They looked good in the last World Cup. Cameroon, I think, is going to be good. I am not high on Guinea. I think the Gambia would get over Guinea. Right now, at least. But that group's going to be so much fun. And then you get to the group, which I think is... It's a bad look for Africa, because I still don't know how Mauritania is a pot 3 team. Algeria, Burkina Faso, Mauritania, and Angola. How the heck is Mauritania here? How? Like, it still blows my mind. It's going to be a focal point when I talk about it in a couple of months. How Mauritania, of all people, got ahead of the Gambia, which for those who don't know where the Gambia is, it's essentially the banks of a river around Senegal. So they're all basically Senegalese players playing for another country. And they're better than Mauritania. I don't know how they're here. Group E, a little bit of a return for these two. Mali, Tunisia, South Africa, and Namibia. Last AFCON, we saw Mali play Tunisia, and Mali won because the for those who don't know, from the last AFCON, there was a referee who ended the match early and apparently got a heat stroke or whatever. He reffed Mali, Tunisia. Mali, Tunisia play each other again. And add in South Africa? I think South Africa can possibly make a move. But that South African team is not going to be bad. Namibia, less said about them, the better. Group F, Morocco, DR Congo, Zambia, and Tanzania. The final group of the 6 groups. Morocco and the DR Congo played each other in the previous World Cup qualifying final round, where you go in a 2-legged tie, and the winner of the 2-legged tie advances to the World Cup, and Morocco won it convincingly. Zambia is going to be okay. Tanzania, I have to go back to this. Tanzania went out in their final qualifier, drew Algeria, which is amazing. And then you realize that Tanzania got very lucky to draw Algeria, and the reason they made it was because they drew Algeria. So I think Tanzania can cause some intrigue, but I wouldn't back Tanzania to automatically get out of this group. So that group's going to be fun. But AFCON, I'm going to break it more down in a later video. It's going to be a lot of fun to talk about. I'll tell you right now. What else is going on? The other big focal point in the world's game is Euros qualifying, because the Euros are next year. So what's going on in the Euros? I talked about it in the last video, and what's going on so far? So from yesterday, we had Spain get a major win over the Scotland national team to really cause chaos in Group A, because Spain is now only 3 points behind with a match at hand against Scotland. We had the Norwegians. I believe Norway beat Cyprus. They're a match that you had to back Norway in. But it's really bad for the nation of Georgia, because Georgia is 6 points, a very big 6 points behind Norway with not many to go. Because if you look, as I'm pulling this up, because the real big important piece on the Georgian national team is Kvisha Kvaratskhelia, and he has not looked very good for Napoli previously. Now he's looked kind of decent, and now if you're Georgia, you get a big matchup with Cyprus on Sunday, a match you have to win to stay in the hunt because the Norwegians play Spain. So listen, if Norway loses this, then we pretty much know who's going to the Euros out of this group. It's going to be the assumed team go through in Scotland, extra in Spain, and Scotland are probably going to go through as well. But Norway not in a good spot because they're trying to. Because Spain and Scotland are assured a playoff spot. Norway isn't. Georgia is possibly going to the playoff due to their Nations League standing. So Norway, not in a good spot at all. So that matchup at the end of the week on Sunday is much more impactful than people will make it seem. Because if Norway loses, they're basically done. That's how impactful that game is on Sunday. Group B, France, Netherlands, Greece, and Ireland. Actually, we won't go group by group. We'll go over the matches. I'll do a little bit different. So matches from yesterday. We had another big one, Turkey, getting a very impactful 3 points over Croatia, which really sets up their group very well because Turkey now leads the group ahead of Croatia. Granted, Croatia does have a match at hand on Turkey, but Turkey, the Turks, who looked, if you look how they've played recently, they look terrible against Armenia. They drew Armenia. You beat Latvia, but you lose to Croatia the first time. Then you go and beat Latvia. Then you beat Wales. Very impactful one against Wales. They opened with beating Armenia. Then you just draw Armenia. How? I don't get it. And so with not many matches to go, you have a very impactful upcoming window. Because you have the match on Sunday, and then you have, I believe, one match left in the group. Just me to make sure on this. Because in their group, they're in the group of 5, so they would be playing a total of 8 matches. So Turkey has 2 matches left. Very intrigued to see how they play those matches. Because I believe the playoffs in March for this. Other matches to take a look at, from what I think were impactful, you had a very interesting one, Albania, who have come out of nowhere to me, had just beaten Czechia to really make this interesting in their group. Czechia is now in third, a very impactful 1 point behind Poland. Now, granted, the Czechs have a match at hand on everyone, which is good, and they play the Faroe Islands next. But their window now in November just got a little bit more spicy to it, because the Czechs open November with Poland. Interesting, right? Because if you really think about it, that match will be for a spot in the Euros, unless they're in the playoff, unless there's like a guaranteed playoff spot on the line, which I'm not 100% sure on. That will be interesting. But right now, I'm going to address the guaranteed spots, because the playoffs, really confusing. And then the Czechs end with an easy matchup at home against Moldova. So the Czechs have their work cut out for them. Poland doesn't. And Poland yesterday went out and got a nice 2-0 win over the Faroe Islands. And they still have Moldova and Czechia. So 2 matches left for Poland. Your target right now, if you're the Poland national team, is to beat win one, beat Moldova on the weekend, and get a point against Czechia, and hope Czechia loses to Moldova. That's their hope right now. I think that would get them in, but it's highly unlikely. Because then they would be down to go looking for playoff spots. Any other matches to talk about? I don't think so. Yeah, we're going to kick it over to today's fixtures, and we open with Azerbaijan getting a nice win over Estonia, a match that I never thought I would talk about. It's Azerbaijan's first win of the tournament. Good for them. Well done. They're still there. I mean, they're not going to make it, guaranteed. They are now 9 points behind Austria because the Austrians have really made this fun. The last window, they went out and beat Sweden. Nice. I mean, I didn't expect it. They play a fun one today. I think towards the end of this, when this recording goes, when we finish recording, they play Belgium, which could determine who's going to automatically go through in first place. And then Austria gets the easy one. They get to kick over Azerbaijan, and then they play Estonia. Listen, Austria's going to make this. Austria got their hard matchup out of the way with Sweden. Your goal here, because Sweden, I feel like what they have to do, they have to still play Belgium. They basically play the same schedule. So, if you're Belgium, nothing's secured if Belgium loses. Just for reference, Belgium plays Austria, Sweden, and then they get the kickovers in Azerbaijan. If Sweden wins out, and Belgium get 1 point in their last three, Belgium's out. So there is a scenario where Belgium doesn't make it automatic. Do I think that scenario is likely? Not at all. But there is a scenario where Belgium does not make it out guaranteed through to the Euros. What else is going on? In today's matches, we have a fun one. Denmark is playing Kazakhstan. Now, Kazakhstan really shot themselves in the foot. Wait, am I looking at the right date? No, I'm not. That is on Saturday. Today's match, of course I was going to butcher this. We have Netherlands just playing France. A matchup that I would love to watch live. Unfortunately, I have the prep for that soccer game tomorrow, so I unfortunately will not be able to watch that game. We also have Luxembourg, who are somehow still alive despite getting absolutely annihilated by Portugal, because they lost 9-0 to Portugal. Yeah. I think the less said about that, the better. Because Luxembourg really hurt themselves because their goal difference is now worse. I think they have the worst goal difference out of any team in third. So they made it really hard for themselves. They get to have a fun one. They play Iceland. So I'm intrigued to see how that one goes out. Other notable matchups, Portugal plays Slovakia in their matchup for today. In a Group J matchup, top dogs going head-to-head in Group J. If you are Luxembourg, you are rooting for the Portuguese. Because if Portugal wins, they're pretty much in. If Slovakia wins, then we pretty much know both teams to come out of this group. Because Slovakia's schedule, if Slovakia finds a way to lose this today, Slovakia next plays Luxembourg. And Luxembourg are still alive. Because, they go head-to-head with Luxembourg to start off on Monday. And then Slovakia gets a difficult window with Iceland and Bosnia. Bosnia away is not easy. So, listen, Luxembourg has a chance. I don't know how big of a chance it is, but it's a tough road because they open with Iceland. Then they play Slovakia, which is going to be tough. You're home against Bosnia, and then you're away to Liechtenstein, which I have a feeling they would drop points to Liechtenstein, honestly. Because, granted, Liechtenstein's in last and has scored 1 goal, but it's the Euros qualifying. Anything can happen. Other matchups to watch for the rest of the weekend. We have the aforementioned matchup, Denmark, just playing Kazakhstan, in a match that will really determine Kazakhstan's entire road to possibly making this. Because Kazakhstan, in a span of a week, went from 2nd to 4th. And their road to making it is near impossible. They really hurt themselves. Losing to Finland at home is just ruined their whole campaign. They get Denmark, Finland, they get San Marino, the easy win. But then you play Slovenia, a team that's not going to be a pushover, and it's on the road. So Kazakhstan really shot themselves in the foot here. They go to Denmark and Finland away. 3 of their 4 remaining matches are on the road. They really hurt themselves. And the opening loss to Slovenia is going to be why Kazakhstan doesn't go through. Losing at home to Slovenia. Losing at home to Finland. I think they should have gotten a draw at least out of that match to stay alive. Kazakhstan in a must-win situation now, I think, as they go on the road to play Denmark. You need to get at least a point out of that. We have Hungary, who I think are still a very solid national team. If you can find their group, they're on top of their group. They get to have a fun one. They get to play Serbia, a team that made the World Cup and finished in dead last. So listen, the Serbians are good. I think that's a draw. I really think that's a draw. It'll be a fun draw, but it will be a draw. Other matchups to watch, we have Slovenia just playing Finland. Every top team wants to play each other in this one group. Because, listen, if everyone in that group is hoping that game goes to a draw, I think Finland, how good they are on the road, I think Finland gets a win. Ukraine plays North Macedonia in a match that will determine both of their fates because Ukraine and North Macedonia are tied with the Italians. The Italians open with Malta, which is basically San Marino, but a little bit better. So Italy is going to go to 10 points. Ukraine or North Macedonia have to win their match to stay alive because England is also in their group. And the English, well, they open with a friendly. They play in a friendly today, but they get Italy, Malta, and North Macedonia. If you're North Macedonia or Ukraine, you have to win that match today. Over the weekend. I keep thinking their match is today. It's not. Someone has to win that match. If any of them want to get an upset over England or Italy, someone has to win. Someone does. And if it's a draw, very disappointed. Other matchups for that's matchups tomorrow. Sunday, we get the Norwegians in a must-win against Spain. We have Turkey, you probably get an easy one over Latvia. Not a lot of crazy ones. But then you get to Monday. You open with Belgium just playing Sweden in a must-win for the Swedes. You have the Greeks, who have looked surprisingly decent. They're playing the Dutch. And Luxembourg in a must-win game with Slovakia. So a lot of interesting soccer to watch out for this weekend and Monday. We're going to head to what else to watch out for this weekend with the NFL. The NFL played last night. Broncos country, they all want to die because the Broncos lost again. They lost to Kansas City. The Chiefs won 19-8. Travis Kelce had a decent game, has only scored 1 touchdown since the aforementioned thing with Taylor Swift. The Swifties are undefeated. I hate it. I really hate this. But what games do you think I should watch out for this week? Well, there's a couple of them. We're going to open this with games to watch. In terms of intrigue, I'm not going to go with this matchup because of who's on the field. I'm going to go pick this game because of what can happen. It's a very likely theme for how the Atlanta Falcons games go this season. They play Washington. And I think this game is going to be really fun. Listen, Washington come off a tough loss to the Bears, which is semi-embarrassing. And you have the Falcons who came off a nice late win over the Texans. Washington is better than the Texans. So, in theory, you're going to get a better game. And I think Sam Howell against Desmond Ridder is going to be a lot more fun than most experts see it as. Because listen, Sam Howell and Desmond Ridder, 2 semi-inconsistent quarterbacks. I think it's going to be a fun matchup. I'm interested to see how they both play each other. Will the Falcons' offense be more consistent, and go out and win a big game against the Commanders. That's what I'm watching out for in that one. What else am I watching for? I mean, you have a divisional rivalry game with Minnesota as they play the Bears. We have a lot of decent matchups in the second half of the day, but there's someone's season on the line in terms of momentum-wise. And this is my featured game of the 1 o'clock sessions. Seattle and Cincinnati. I love this matchup because if the Bengals find a way to lose this, they're in a massive hole for the rest of the way. Because Cincinnati would prove they can't beat a legitimate playoff contender. Now, I'm counting Seattle in that category. The Seahawks, not a bad team. Led by okay quarterback in Geno Smith. You have weapons in DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, JSN. Their running game, pretty decent. Their defense has been decent. The Seahawks are going to be ones to not mess around because currently in the NFC West, they're in second. And they've only lost one game to the Rams. And they have won 3 in a row. And the Seahawks have won 3 in a row. They are riding high coming out of their bye week. So, in theory, you have a team, I believe well rested too. With the Seahawks. I think they just had their bye. They did. Coming off of their win against the New York Giants. So listen, Cincinnati, must-win game for them. What do I expect? I think the Bengals squeak out a win with this. Listen, Burrow looked better against Arizona. Seattle's pass rush, the Giants made it look way better than what it actually is. I'm not riding high with that Seattle pass rush. Give me Cincinnati 27-24 over the Seahawks. To the later sessions because we have much more intriguing content here. And we open with only 4 games, but these 4 games are better than most of the games in the beginning. We have the Bucs, who are surprisingly good. They play the Lions. I think this will be a defensive struggle for both of them. I mean, an offensive struggle because we're going to see the rise of the defenses. Really getting my terms confused today. But I think the Lions win this. On the road in Tampa is going to be tough, but I think the Lions do win this game. And then you have my favorite game of the 4 o'clock of the second session, which is the Jets as they play the Eagles. Now, I am not saying this from a biased perspective. The Jets saved their season last week when they beat Denver. I said this yesterday on Into the Stands, which unfortunately, by the way, I just got word that video was cut short for some reason. No idea. But the Jets saved their season last week. Last year, they had that one statement game when they beat the Packers at Lambeau. Will the Jets have this statement game again? And who will it be against? If you want a statement game, I said this on another podcast, the healthy Jets could beat the Eagles. Do I expect the Jets to beat the Eagles? Not at all. But I expect the Jets to really have a good fight, especially on the defensive end in this game. What I'm worried about, I think the Jets' offensive line is going to get beat to shreds. And it's going to be really concerning. Now, granted, Darius Slay might be out. Jalen Carter, or one of the Eagles' defensive linemen, I'm probably getting the two confused, might be out. So, how did the Jets respond? I'm intrigued for it. Listen, I expect Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown to each go over 100 yards. I think it's very possible that the Jets' defense gets absolutely torched. But I still feel like this game will be amusing to me and hopefully not ruin the Jets' chances momentum-wise for the rest of the season. And then we have the Sunday night game that shouldn't be the Sunday night game with the Giants and the Bills. The Giants are starting Tyrod Taylor. Give me the Bills by 40. Next question. And then Cowboys-Chargers, another game that I don't think it should be the Monday night game. Give me the Chargers. Cowboys are going to lose multiple games in a row once again. So, NFL's chaos. We have a couple of games, but not a lot. But I think every game in this sport down the stretch will be a phenomenal watch. That's the MLB playoffs. And I just have to say this. I talked about them yesterday. The Philadelphia Phillies, man. All three, me, Colin, and Chris yesterday talked about Philadelphia. And wow, they made a statement. And listen, I said they win the World Series yesterday because I picked the Braves to win. As I'm taking, by the way, just as I'm taking this drink, make sure to like and subscribe. And hopefully Arizona sponsors me one day. But in all seriousness, the Phillies made a statement. They really did. Led by the pitching core of Nola and Wheeler. You have an offense led by Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos. You have Kyle Schwarber also. You have Trey Turner, Rome Muto. They have so many good players. Bryson Stott. This team is outrageous. It really is. Offensively. Their pitching is starting to come around as well at the perfect time. Why? Look who they're playing in the NLCS. A team that is exactly like Philadelphia from last year in the Arizona Diamondbacks. I love them. The emergence of Corbin Carroll may have saved this whole team. I'm dead serious. The emergence of Corbin Carroll, Gabriel Moreno, Zach Gallen in the pitching rotation. This team is so like last year's Philadelphia. It's like they're rewriting the script from last year. Because how did Philly get in last year? I don't know. Beat some proven teams when they had low expectations. I mean, Arizona went out and beat the Dodgers. It's pretty good. Went out and beat the Brewers in the wild card round. Solid. Now I get to play Philadelphia. Listen, this series is going to be fun. I have very high expectations because most of these playoff series have been absolutely awful to watch. Other than the Braves Philly series, I do not see a series that was intriguing to the eye. Meaning, like they're all sweeps or 3-1s. It's like, the opening round was all sweeps. This round, we got a couple of sweeps, but it's just not fun, long content as a baseball fan that you want to see. It's frustrating. And I'm hoping that this Phillies Diamondbacks series is going to be a lot of fun. But I said Phillies in 6 yesterday, and I'm keeping it. Watch out for Bryce Harper. He's going to go nuts. But there's been another player that I think has really emerged during the playoff run towards the back end of the season. That's Trey Turner. He had a very bad majority of the season. In his last 48 games, he's hit over in the regular season, and now so far in the playoffs, he's an average around 375, 400, or something like that. I know in the regular season was like 330, and in the playoffs, he's had a very good average as well. So I believe it's around the 375, 400 mark. What Trey Turner has been able to accomplish in the last month plus is nothing short of chaos and a phenomenal boost to the Phillies offense. Because Trey Turner, and he's getting paid like, I don't know, $30 million a year. At one point, he was hitting 8th. And he's so talented. It really drove me nuts as a baseball fan, the question, why the heck is Trey Turner not performing? Well, he's performing now, at a time where the team really needs it. You'll love to see it, as a baseball fan at least. I don't. Some part of me doesn't because I'm a Mets fan, but I like Trey Turner as a player. I hate facing him, but he's just so good you can't not hate him. And then you have the American League. The series I predicted to happen, which is the Astros and the Rangers. Listen, I called this series in the beginning. I'm sticking with my same prediction. And I'm going to make this statement now. And I said something similar yesterday. If the Rangers had DeGrom, they would win the World Series. they would have won the division. They would have won the World Series. And the fact that they're going to have a lot of expectations, I'm adding this now. The fact that they're going to have expectations next year may hurt the team in the long run. Because sometimes with expectations, with some of these one-time playoff teams, or these like starting to become dynasty teams, it hurts them. Because their management would see, wow, we have expectations. We need to go all in and ruin the future. That's not how you do this. Especially where it's, let's go back to the Diamondbacks. They have rebuilt a rebuild. They have gone, I thought they were directionless. And then they brought up Corbin Carroll. I'm like, they may have a direction now. But they have a lot of issues there in Arizona. In this case, with Texas, they know what they're going to need to add next year. That's the bullpen. Have to address it. Because if they don't, they're going to be right there. I think they get eliminated in the ALDS next year. Because there will be teams who come back. Tampa, Baltimore, the Twins. I mean, who knows what else happens out in the West of the Mariners? Teams know what they need to fix. I don't think Texas knows. Because they're just trying to ride high in the sunset with a lot of glaring holes in their roster. It's going to hurt them in the long run. Listen, going after old starters was not the move. And I think they made a mistake. But I'm interested to see what happens to them in the ALCS with Max Scherzer returning. Listen, I think he gets destroyed. It's not me because I don't like Max Scherzer. Like, I have some form of hatred towards Max Scherzer. I don't. But he's not been very good recently in the playoffs. I'm just going off basic numbers. If Max Scherzer does start a playoff game, I'm not expecting him to go past the fourth. But with who the Rangers are throwing out right now, this is not a World Series team. You're really trying to tell me that Andrew Heaney is in a World Series rotation in the playoffs? How the heck did they get this far? Doesn't make sense. Sometimes just the way sports are. You may have teams that are not as competitive that somehow make it to the playoffs. Seen it in football, seen it in hockey. You definitely see it in baseball. NBA the same way. Just the way sometimes how sports are. I'm interested to see how the series goes, though. I'm still riding with the Astros. On that note, that will be the end of today's episode of the Robbie Basel Show. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what you see, make sure to go down here, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. You don't have to do it. It's not mandatory, but it would be appreciated. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Just as another note, I will be on ESPN Plus for Iona against St. Peter's men's soccer tomorrow. Hopefully you guys get to tune into ESPN Plus at noon Eastern. But for now, enjoy your weekend. I'm Robbie Basel saying so long. I'll see you guys on Monday. Goodbye, everyone.